So we have visit a few open houses a month, crunch the numbers in a mortgage calculator. Next, you have pay off your credit card. Why is this so important?
Yes. This year, American consumer credit has hit an all-time high. In February, it was over $4.8 trillion. And especially again for people who are first-time home buyers, there's a good chance that you might also have some debt, whether it be student loans, but in particular credit card debt. And I want to preface that this is not to shame anyone, this is not to make anyone feel bad. If you have credit card debt, it doesn't mean that you messed up. It might have been that you had some unexpected expenses. A ton of people had things happen during the pandemic. Maybe you got laid off. And oftentimes the personal finance rhetoric is like, oh, if you have credit card debt, that means you're irresponsible. No, I've met a lot of people have credit card debt because something bad happened and they needed it in a case of an emergency. So if you have any sort of credit card debt, there's a couple of reasons why that's really helpful to pay off now. One is it'll help your credit score, right? So then you'll be able to get a better rate on your mortgage if you decide to get a mortgage to buy a home. It'll also free up some cash, right? So instead of making those minimum monthly payments, you'll have more money to put towards, even if it's not the down payment, towards buying nice things for your house, right? But you also start to build better money habits by paying down that credit card debt so that when you do have a mortgage and inevitably owning a home has a lot of unexpected costs, you'll build better money habits so that you're better prepared to be a more responsible homeowner.
Let's break down those unexpected costs a little bit. Right now, I'm a renter. So even if the light bulb isn't working, ring, 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 I call my landlord. Hey, can you fix this for me? Hey, can you fix this sink? I'm the least handy person. So this works out really well for me. But when you buy a home, those unexpected costs are on you. What are some of the most popular common ones?
I don't know if we want to call them popular because it definitely doesn't feel like when we have them, right? The common ones, right, that I have often seen is HVAC, which is really huge. So like if your air conditioning or your heating system and stuff, those are things that come up maybe once every 10 or 20 years. But if it does come up, it's like tens of thousands of dollars. With a lot of the weather related type of stuff, roof leaks are something that happens more often than people realize. But then there's also just those kind of everyday things that you don't expect to break down. So even for me, while I was in my last home, my microwave, I accidentally exploded something in there. So that was my fault, but I still had to get a new microwave. I had a family member put a comforter inside our washing machine, and the washing machine ended up leaking, right? So we had to get a whole new washing machine. And so sometimes it's not even things that you think are going to be like natural disasters or anything like that. It could just be breaking down of regular appliances. And again, so often people are not having enough of a contingency fund when they own a home to expect those things, especially if you came from renting like you, right? You're used to calling someone and saying, hey, can you fix this for me? But guess what? It's you this time around. And so I highly, highly recommend for people, if you are going to own a home, if you are going to buy a home, that you should pay off your credit card debt and also have a contingency fund built because things inevitably will break down.
Such great advice. And your next piece of advice, I really want you to break down for us because I want to know how you take advantage of this. You wrote, increase your down payment passively with today's high interest rates. How do you do that?
Yes. All right. So when we think of home buying, the most common narrative that we're hearing right now is like rates are really bad, right, for buying a home and getting a mortgage. However, if you're someone who's saving up money right now, the high rates are actually in your favor. And so there's two ways that I've shared with people and how you can do that. One is through high yield savings accounts, and those are so simple. Anyone can open up a high yield savings account. They're usually at banks that don't have a brick and mortar, so they're able to offer higher interest. And so usually when you get a savings account, it's usually like attached to your checking account and it gives you like 0.01%, which is nothing, right? But the lowest interest rates I've been seeing now for high yield savings accounts are like 3.6, 3.8% right now. So if you have, let's say, $10,000 that you're saving up, like you're going to actually get like a good chunk of change just from the interest rate of just sitting there. And the second way that you can use the high yield savings accounts is using those good old fashioned certificates of deposit or CDs. And honestly, I didn't really pay much attention to them. I thought of them as things that like my parents used back in the day. But all it is simply a bank account that you put the money into, and you have to let it sit there in order to grow the interest for at least 10 months or to a year. And that's a great place to store your down payment while you're waiting to buy a home. And that's actually what I'm doing right now. I have money saved up in a high yield savings account and have money set aside in a CD. And once the CD matures, meaning that's when you can pull the money out and you get all the interest, it's time for when I'm going to plan to buy my next home, which is in 2024. But in that time, I'm going to get a couple $100s. And actually, I think I'm going to get over $1,000 extra to put towards my house.